Welcome, welcome everyone to the Learning Tube. This is Ava. Hope everyone is doing well. You know that I love to show you the Facebook group to make sure that persons are joined so that you can get another way to access the replay of these sessions or just to be active and ask any questions that you may have. So I'm going to share the link in the chat so that you can join if you are not part of the Facebook group. So let me just drop that there so that you can join if you aren't. Remember, the Learning Tube is free, so you can share that link with anyone that you want to get access to this information that you get each and every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, today's session is all about something that a lot of us need to be concerned about once we're using a computer, using the internet, and things like that. Now, October is most famously known as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but do you know what else we keep track of or making sure that persons are aware of in October? Who knows? Let me see who's following Alicia's page and Alicia's content. What else do we observe in October? Do you know? Let me know in the chat. Let me see who's the first person that knows. Anybody knows? Yes, Barbara, cybersecurity. Exactly. It's also cybersecurity month. Yes, Brooks, it's Halloween today. Yes, but we're talking about cybersecurity. All of October was cybersecurity's month. And if anyone was following Alicia's page, you will see that she was talking all about cybersecurity, cybersecurity. I'm talking about cybersecurity, and also sharing some tips for what you can do when it comes to that. So if you're not following Alicia's page, make sure that you're doing so. I'm just going to share the link in the chat so that you can like and follow. So this is Alicia's Facebook page. You can like and follow. All right, so you will see that there are tips here concerning cybersecurity. So I can't keep on saying cybersecurity. Cybersecurity. What's up with my head? Cybersecurity. So a lot of tips were shared so far, and of course, any activities that she's involved with. So you can check that out and get more in depth on it. But we're going to head on over here to talk more about cybersecurity. So today's lesson, short and spicy, as you know, I love to do, and it's all about digital habits that keep you safe. We want to talk about things that you need to do to make sure that you're safe when you're using your computer, using the internet, and such. So, cyber hygiene, just like personal hygiene, you want to make sure that you're developing good practices and daily habits to keep personal information, devices, networks safe and secure from cyber threats. So we're going to be looking on a breakdown of some cyber hygiene practice. So as I said, just like personal hygiene, you want to make sure that you're maintaining regular and consistent behaviors to safeguard digital health. So let me know that you're ready for today's session. Give me a one in the chat. Now, some of these things you may already be practicing, and some of them are new to you. Just make sure that you're doing all of them to keep safe. Once you're using the internet and the digital devices, we have to make sure that we're employing good practices to keep our information safe. And that's the purpose of going through this lesson today. So we're going to be looking on the first one, which most of us know this already, secure your passwords. Always make sure that you have secure passwords. Who's guilty like, well, I'm not going to say like myself, but kind of like myself. Who has common passwords? Do you have common passwords for varying platforms? Sometimes it's easier to do so, but guess what? You're not. You want to make sure that your passwords are unique to varying platforms, and we'll soon talk about why that is. So you want to not use common passwords like password as a password. I hope nobody's guilty of that here. Password as a password. No. And 1 2 3 4 5 6 as a password. Yes, people have those as passwords, but you want to make sure that you use complex combinations. For instance, a mixture of letters, numbers, special characters like the at sign and the exclamation sign and all those things. So people tend to use the exclamation sign when they're doing the letter one, or they use one. If they're doing the letter E, they may use the number 3. And if you're using S, they will use the $sign and things like that. Letter A, the @ So you try to come up with a password that's using unique, complex combinations to hopefully make it more difficult for persons who are trying to hack your system and other systems, make it more difficult for them. So in case of instead of a password, you can use passphrases. Who has used a passphrase for a password? It may be a little bit longer, but it may be more secure because it may be more difficult to crack your passphrase. So anything that is easy for you to remember when it comes to a particular phrase or that you like and can use, it's great to use it. Make sure it's memorable for you, because obviously you want to make sure that you yourself are remembering your password. So you see here, they're talking about sunlight, over moons, 2024, and so on. So you use something that's unique to you and easy to remember. Now, multi-factor authentication. Who's for that? Are you for that? MFA? For those who don't know the MFA, that's when they're tying your phone number usually, as well as your email address for you signing in to get access. All right. So MFA. Sometimes it can be annoying, but guess what? It makes things more secure because chances are the hacker doesn't have your phone and has to put in the code that's sent to your phone. So most platforms are leaning towards this. In fact, up to today, our texting platform that you receive the reminder on, I wasn't able to get in until I set up a multi-factor authentication. They're saying, listen, it's time. We are making this a requirement. So they have it now as a requirement to get access to that platform. So we had to put in the info so that a code could be sent to a phone number as well as you signing in. So I'm just telling you, everywhere is trying to be secure. Our texting platform is making sure nobody can access other than us because you need to make sure that your data is secure. So MFA, most banks have this as an option as well. So once there's an option, down to Facebook has it as an option. So once it's an option, set it up, MFA, multi-factor authentication, it will make your data more secure. Password managers. Who knows password managers? Give me one of them. Do you use any? Give me one of those password managers. So consider using a password manager to securely store and generate unique passwords for each account, reducing the temptation to reuse them across platforms. So I see Google Key, I see Nord, LastPass is a very popular one, and they are great ways, as they say, to help you store your password, generate unique passwords so that you are using different passwords for the varying platforms. Remember, you don't want to use the same password for all your platforms. For instance, if there's a hack in your particular platform and it's the same password you're using all, people will try the other password for all the other platforms. And hey, they may get access if you're using the same one. So always remember that. All right. So for securing your password, remember unique mixture of characters, cases, upper, lower, special characters, and such numbers to keep you secure. You know that Google also has a password manager for those who did not know. You just go to these three dots here on Google and you have a password and autofill section and you have Google Password Manager. So if you're the only one using your Google, you're able to allow it to remember your passwords. You can even check to see the strength of your passwords, if they're good passwords or not. And they will let you know, hey, you need to change these passwords and so on. So Google is a good way to have as a password manager as well. All right. So check out Google Password Manager. So another thing now is that this is a case study of what can happen if passwords aren't secure. So this is Yahoo had a data breach back in the day. Can you imagine 2020, 2013 is back in the day? And they suffered a massive data breach for Yahoo users. If you experienced it, 3 billion accounts were affected. And the key issue was that many users reused the same password across different platforms, and the attackers obtained login credentials from Yahoo, and they were able to use those credentials on other sites and such to get access to sensitive information. So what they learned from this is that, listen, using a unique password, as we said, enabling multi-factor helps to prevent this. So let's check Oh, what actually happened in this Yahoo breach for those who are not aware of it? Let's check it out.
It is the biggest hack in the history of the world in terms of scale. Yahoo's had an information breach that's affected almost 500 million accounts. And if you're one of the millions of people who will be affected, you have to do the ever frustrating changing of the password. Even more annoying, you have to change your security questions and answers. This just shows how much information has been leaked as part of this hack. You can't change your mom's maiden name, so you'll just have to come up with a new question. But perhaps the worst part, you have to change any other similar information on other websites aside from Yahoo. That's because you've probably committed that fatal flaw of using the same username, password, of course the same birth date on other accounts. So if they can get into your Yahoo account, they can probably get into so many other places of your online identity. And then there's Yahoo's pending sale to Verizon. That company says they didn't even know about this hack until just a couple of days ago, even though it happened back in 2014. Now, the stocks of those two companies have done all right, but many experts point to the fact that corporations often have to pay over $200 per account when all is said and done after a major hacking, so that people can have credit monitoring and account monitoring. Now, if you multiply that by 500 million, it's actually more than the entire sale price of Yahoo to Verizon. And now one elected official is saying that the government should take a look at Yahoo. Senator Blumenthal says, as law enforcement and regulators examine this incident, they should investigate whether Yahoo may have concealed its knowledge of this breach in order to artificially bolster its valuation in its pending acquisition by Verizon. Now, he's not making accusations, he's just saying the government should investigate, but that's because he wants governments to have laws requiring companies to come forth as soon as they suspect any type of data breach or hack. Now, Yahoo says, don't worry, your bank and credit card information wasn't stolen, but that might give you a false sense of comfort because you can change your credit card information, but you can't change your birth date and other sensitive information that's used so often to identify you by so many companies, and that is now in the hands of the hackers.
So just want to make you know that, listen, this cyber attack, it's real. So did anybody hear about that Yahoo incident back in the day in 2013, 2014? Not sure if you did, but that's what that was all about. Now, Janine, you're asking about Google Key. Usually that's used for two-step verification for your Google account, so you can check that out. So Janet, you said you heard about it. There have been so many since. Exactly. Yes, Janet. Unfortunately, I mean, that's 10 years, 11 years ago. There have been so many more, but just letting persons know, listen, this is real, take it seriously, and follow the advice that's given to protect your data. So you also want to make sure that you do regular software updates. Whose computer sometimes goes haywire, like you're saying, why is it moving so slow? Why is it malfunctioning? What's happening? What's going on? It's not doing what it should. And you just say, oh, let me restart it or let me shut it down. And then sometimes you realize, hey, it wants you to do updates. Always pay attention to when your computer notifies you that you need to do updates because they may be giving you security patches that are patching vulnerabilities and also things to help you improve your performance of your computer, and in some cases new features. So once your computer is telling you get an update, please listen to it and do your regular software updates for your computer, your operating system, whatever it wants you to update. Make sure to do so. There's a reason it is doing the prompt, because they know that their vulnerabilities are there and they're making sure they are patching them. We're going to talk about another one, right? Listen to another story. Now, there was a WannaCry. Unfortunately, that's a kind of name that you don't want it to have, but it made people wanna cry. So there was a WannaCry ransomware attack. And if you don't know about ransomware, this is usually just like how they kidnap somebody and they ask for a ransom for you to get back the person. That's what ransomware is. But for data, they hijack your data. You may be able to still see it, but it's mumbo jumbo. You can't understand it, and you have to pay a fee to get it back. Yes. So they had a WannaCry ransomware attack, and it was in 2017. 230,000 computers were affected in 150 countries. What did they learn? This attack showed the importance of updating software and operating systems regularly. If patches and updates are not installed promptly, known vulnerabilities can be exploited by the cyber criminals. And we're going to learn a bit about what happened with the WannaCry, but who remembered what happened with the airlines when we saw that a lot of airlines were canceled by an update that was sent? Remember, this wasn't a cyber attack per se. We're assuming they said that it was based on an update, an error that went wrong with the update. Did you see it shut down everything when it comes to the airlines? So suppose that was a cyber attack. Like, we see that these things are real. So let's look more and see what happened with WannaCry. What happened with that?
It began on a quiet Friday morning in May 2017, a day like any other. But by the afternoon, it was clear something had gone horribly wrong. Computers around the world started locking up, demanding ransom. A message flashed on their screens: pay up or lose everything. WannaCry had struck. In just a few hours, over 200,000 systems in 150 countries were infected. Hospitals, factories, government offices, critical infrastructure crippled. The UK's National Health Service had to turn patients away. Machines held hostage by a virus no one saw coming. What made WannaCry so terrifying? It wasn't just ransomware. It was a ticking time bomb. Exploiting a vulnerability in Microsoft systems, this worm spread like wildfire, jumping from computer to computer without human intervention. The vulnerability had been a secret, a cyber weapon, hoarded by intelligence agencies, but that weapon had leaked, and now it was in the hands of faceless criminals. As the hours ticked by, panic set in. Governments, cybersecurity experts, they scrambled to contain the outbreak. But WannaCry didn't care. It was relentless. There was no bargaining, no mercy, only one demand: pay in Bitcoin or lose your files forever. Then, as mysteriously as it started, it stopped. A lone researcher stumbled upon a kill switch, and the chaos began to slow. But the damage was done. Billions lost, lives disrupted, fear lingering in the shadows. WannaCry wasn't just an attack. It was a warning, a glimpse into the fragile world of cybersecurity, where the next strike is always just one click away.
Interesting, isn't it? So you see that, hey, people are saying we are hacking your data. You have to pay XYZ to get it back. You need to make sure that you're employing what you can prevent these things from happening to you. So we all know about phishing attempts, phishing, phishing, not F. Phishing attempts. Who has been victim to phishing attempts? Meaning that you've gotten these kinds of emails and such. Not that you have actually lost data, or have you? Have you clicked on links that you shouldn't have? Have you done that? I hope no one has. But if you have, this part now will let you know what to be aware of in case you get these kinds of suspicious emails, phishing websites, or other indicators when it comes to phishing. So we're going to check and see what to look out for when it comes to phishing emails.
How to spot a phishing email. Detecting phishing emails isn't as easy as it once was. Cybercriminals are using much more sophisticated schemes. This video gives an overview of some of the most popular tactics cybercriminals use, so you can avoid falling victim. Scam emails often contain poor spelling, grammar, and formatting. This could be because the scammer isn't fluent in English, or they're using spelling mistakes to get around spam filters. Phishing emails sometimes include infected attachments, often disguised as a document such as an invoice, report, or receipt. Never open an attachment unless you're expecting it and are sure that the message is from a legitimate sender. Cybercriminals often imitate well-known brands to trick people into divulging their personal information. Don't be deceived. Just because an email looks legitimate doesn't mean it is. Look past the design and closely check the contents. Phishing emails might include links to fake websites that the attacker controls. There may be only subtle differences between the fake website's URL and the legitimate one, so it's important to thoroughly check any link before you click it. These look like legitimate links but direct to a fake website. You can check by hovering your mouse over the hyperlink, which will display a preview of the real URL. Criminals might pose as someone in an organization, such as the CEO, to target other employees. Check the legitimacy of the sender by hovering your cursor over the sender's name, which will show the address the email was sent from. Many organizations use anti-phishing filters that detect and block emails containing suspicious links, words, or phrases. To get around this, criminals use images, which the filters are unable to read. Phishing emails often create a sense of urgency to encourage the recipient to respond straight away. The email may appear to be from a legitimate source, but it's very unlikely they would contact you about an urgent issue via email. To combat the threat of phishing, organizations must provide regular staff awareness training. Find out how IT governance can help.
I'm sure some of you actually have experienced that. They always let you know, listen, make sure that the email, it is not anything that has any grammatical errors. Check for errors, unusual characters, things like that. Look for generic greetings. A lot of websites like maybe PayPal and some banking institutions say we always refer to you by name. So dear Ava, so and so, not their customer or their user. All right. So yes, PayPal definitely a lot of phishing email for PayPal telling you that your account has been blocked or locked or whatever, restricted. Click on this link to log in and find out why. Do not click on any links in the email itself. It's best to go to the website itself that you know of, paypal.com if that's the case, and check there, because what they're doing is having a fake link in the email leading you somewhere else for you to put in your information and they grab it. So as it says here, look for misspellings, beware of urgent requests. You need to do this now. This needs to be done now and blah, 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 and stuff like that. Rhonda, you said you got stung one time from someone posing as PayPal. Yes, unfortunately. And remember, as it said, hover over the email address too. Sometimes they're telling you that they're writing from wherever. And when you hover over the email address, you see it say boogawagawagawagawaga.com at so-and-so.com, like some weird string of characters. So hover over your mouse pointer over the email address and see where it is coming from. That's an indicator. PayPal even went to the stage of saying, hey, right back to, I think it's spoof email or something like this, letting them know where they can find whoever is sending that particular email so that they can keep track. Right? So yes, unfortunately, sometimes we're in a hurry, and they try to get us that way. We're in a hurry, we don't have the time to look properly, and they get to us that way. But it's very important to take it as seriously as you can. Take the time if you can, or if you don't have the time, wait until you have the time before you access, because you see that they're getting worse and worse when it comes to these things. And as you see here, there are other indicators as well, requesting contact information and so on, and unexpected messages and calls for personal information. Be aware of those things so that you don't get caught, get trapped in whatever they have there. So with phishing attempts, remember, do not click on any links or download any attachments that you weren't knowing coming to you. So if you're having attachments from somebody that you don't know, didn't expect, do not click on it. Report it. Some places and organizations give you emails and other contact to report the phishing attempt so that they can be aware of it and try to lock it down. And change your password if by any chance you clicked on something and shared information that's personal with your passwords. Change your password before they get to you and hack your system. Remember, always do that. We're talking about device and network management. So with this now, make sure you have a proper antivirus software and firewall. Very, very important to protect against these malicious activities. Secure your Wi-Fi. Strong password, as we said, with the mixture of letters and numbers and upper and lower case and special characters. Find out how you can hide your SSID. You can ask your network provider more about that. Backup regularly. Just in case your data is captured ransomware and such, you have a backup somewhere that you do not have to start from scratch. So backup in secure cloud. Remember, it's a secure cloud device. And we know some of those secure areas, Google Drive is secure, Dropbox and so on, can check those out. No, another case study. Do you like these case studies? I look for these stories so that it just gives you an idea of it's real. It's happening out there. Be aware of what's happening in the news in case you don't follow it to be out, be knowing what's going on. All right. So make sure that you're looking on all of that. So Target, yes, Target had a data breach, 2013, and this is how it went. Let's take a look.
In December 2013, Target Corporation announced that it had experienced a massive data breach that affected up to 110 million customers. The breach exposed customers' personal and financial information, including names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and credit card and debit card numbers.
Here's the inside story on what happened.
The breach began on November 27, 2013, which was also Black Friday, the busiest shopping day of the year.
The hackers used a type of phishing attack where they sent a malicious email to one of Target's many third-party contractors, Phasio Mechanical, to steal user credentials. An employee of that company opened an attachment in a fraudulent email. Inside that attachment was a Citadel Trojan horse, a malicious software that then spread into Phasio's computers. Through this, the hackers were able to see Phasio's login credentials for Target's network. That got them into the system.
Once inside Target's network, the hackers were able to install malware on the company's point-of-sale systems, POS, which are the devices used to process customer transactions. This malware was designed to capture the credit card and debit card information of target customers, as well as their names, addresses, and other personal information.
This info was then sold on underground markets.
The breach went undetected for several weeks, during which time the hackers were able to steal data from millions of customers. Target eventually discovered the breach on December 15, 2013, and promptly notified law enforcement and other authorities.
The breach had significant ramifications for Target, its customers, and the broader retail industry. Here are some of the key consequences.
The company had to pay millions of dollars in compensation to affected customers, as well as fines and legal settlements. Target also incurred significant costs associated with improving its cybersecurity infrastructure and implementing new data protection measures.
The breach had a significant impact on Target's reputation. Target's customers lost trust in the company, and many people chose to shop elsewhere. The breach also damaged Target's brand image, and company's stock price fell as a result.
Greg Steinhaffel, CEO of Target, resigned following the data breach. He held himself personally accountable and pledged that Target would emerge a better company.
Target faced numerous lawsuits and regulatory investigations because of the breach. The company had to pay fines and legal settlements to various regulators and law enforcement agencies.
John Mulligan, interim CEO, attended U.S. Senate hearings where he was grilled on how Target handled the breach. When questioned if the company could have had better security measures in place when managing its vendors, he replied yes.
The Target breach also raised public awareness about the importance of data security and the risks of cybercrime. The incident prompted many consumers to take steps to protect their own personal and financial information, such as monitoring their credit reports and using more secure forms of payment.
According to Time magazine, the author of the POS malware program used by the hackers was a 17-year-old teen. The teen denied the allegation.
The breach was a wake-up call for the retail industry, highlighting the need for stronger cybersecurity measures. This prompted many other retailers to review their own cybersecurity protocols and implement new data protection measures. While Target had a $100 million insurance policy that helped them with some of the losses, this next company didn't have anything in place, and the cyber attack completely wiped them out.
Yeah, I mean, look at all of that, right? Cyber attacks are real. Make sure that you're doing what you should to secure your data. Now, I want to apologize if there's anybody that just got let in the waiting room. It's not showing up the notification as it usually does. So we did not see that some persons were in the waiting room. So if you're in there and just got in, we apologize for the wait. There will be a replay that will be available within 24 hours so you can catch anything that you missed. Now, cybersecurity, what we want to make sure that we are doing strong passwords. Make sure that you're using unique, complex passwords for all your accounts. How do you make it unique? How do you make it complex? Mixture of letters, characters, special characters like the plus sign and the dollar sign and the exclamation sign. Make sure that you're using pass phrases that are more difficult to crack. Software update. Update your software. Can't be stressed enough. Even for your website with your plugins, make sure that you're updating everything. There's a reason there are updates because people are aware that things are trying to be hacked. There are vulnerabilities and they're putting out patches and fixes for these vulnerabilities. So you need to make sure that you're updating and keeping track of everything. We know we need to have a good antivirus software. So I see Anna Marie talking about it now. You're saying, is antivirus software free? Yes, they do have some free ones. You have Bitdefender, you have AVG. You can search on the internet for good free antivirus software and see what's out there. Mrs. Adam, same thing too. You can do a search for the best ones, affordable ones. Usually Norton is the best one that persons recommend. You have McAfee, another popular one as well. So you can check on those. You just want to make sure that you're secure and having an antivirus software. Never go on the internet without an antivirus software. Very important. So you're asking, will change some of your password? Yes, make it more secure. My husband, I have to say, he's the king of unique passwords because I don't know. Right now, he has to have he has to use a password manager because the mixture and combination and things that he's doing with those passwords, I don't know how he comes up with it. And I know he comes up with it on his own. And he definitely uses a mixture of letters, numbers, capital letters. And he uses the numbers in the way that you would replace it for the letters. So remember, I told you, like, instead of using the letter E, you use 3. So it's actually spelling a word, but spelling the word with a mixture of numbers and special characters, saying the same word without saying it. For example, suppose you want to say pass. We know this, common. Capital P, the at sign, and $2 signs. That's an example of the word pass using special characters. So very important. So Lynette, you're saying you want to get the EDR, endpoint detection response, antivirus software like Sentinel-1. Thank you for that, Lynette. And Lynette definitely is an expert when it comes to security. I just forgot, Lynette, that this is your specialty, talking about cybersecurity and such. I'm just brushing the surface with some of the things with important, common, simple things that people can start establishing, but definitely you are the expert when it comes to more detailed cybersecurity. So thank you for that. And just make sure that you are keeping aware of what's going on. Monitor what's going on, especially with your social media. Privacy settings, guys, they're always changing the settings on social media platforms. Go through them frequently. Check your Facebook to see the privacy settings that you have because unfortunately they change it. Even with Zoom, settings sometimes change, but privacy settings are more important. So make sure that you're looking to see how you set up your social media and make sure the settings are as they are, that as you want them to be. Double check because sometimes they do updates and they change the settings. So you don't want to be exposed and not be aware because they said, oh, I changed it. And how come it's not as it should be? Unfortunately, they make updates and they change them. All right. You have to make sure that you are taking control of your own cybersecurity because, as I said, from your using the internet, using the computer, you are at risk. So you have to do what you can to protect yourself. All right, guys. So as I said, this was a short and spicy learning tube. Make sure that you catch the replay if you missed anything or if you want to watch it again. The replay will be available within 24 hours. You can see it in the Facebook group. You can get it via email, via the YouTube channel, via the Facebook group, and so on. Yes, happy Halloween to those who celebrate that as well. Thank you so much for joining me live. For those true learning tubers who love to join the session live, shout out to you. I know I have my regulars. Yes, Michelle, and so on. So Lynette, you're saying, can you provide the link for the videos that I played. Yes, I can provide the link for all the videos that were played. They were all YouTube videos, so I can provide those links in the replay. I shall do so. Thanks for mentioning that. I will put the link there and you all can check that out. All right. Thank you so much. And let me see. And Dwayne is telling us know that we can check out the AI Healthcare Summit. He did a presentation too on cybersecurity health. So if you came to the AI Healthcare Summit, you saw that presentation, or if you missed it, you can catch the recordings by going to AIHealthcareAISummit.com and catch the recordings and purchase those. All right, guys, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.